Okay, I'm re-recording this again because I think the sound was like the sound was not sounding, y'all. So, but basically, I was just talking about how I am going to be working on a video about black sheep slash truth tellers, truth seekers, and I was just telling how I well, first of all, I just came back from the gym. Right, just came back from the gym. I'm doing this new thing where I'm trying to like walk to the gym in my area, and I probably picked a bad time to do it because there's still so much snow outside that hasn't melted, and I just had to walk in the street. And like, y'all, it's not like when I lived in New York and people really regularly have to shovel their sidewalks because it's residential. So what was supposed to be like more of a 30 to 40 minute walk ended up being an hour, but it was a good pre-workout. It was a good pre-workout workout. So, yeah. So, um, I don't want to have to re-record this again, so I hope the sound ends up being good. But basically, I was talking about how I was brainstorming for a new video that I want to do today for my other channel, which I'm really, really trying to grow. Like, it would be nice to hit 1,000 by my birthday, but I'm not gonna hold my breath because I literally only have like less than 30 days to do that. So, um, anyway, I came across this video that was posted like yesterday from this YouTuber that I really like, and she did a video about the black sheep in the family and how basically the black sheep are basically just truth tellers. The reason they get labeled black sheep in their family is because uh, mm, they are the people that are not afraid to tell the truth, right? They're not fake. They don't mince words. They are the kind of people that are going to call things out. They don't take things at face value. They're not going to just do something because you told them to do it. They're going to push back, basically, right? They're not compliant. They're not going to fall in line. They're not followers. All of these things, right? And she was saying how, like, truth tellers at their core are truth seekers. They are people that are always constantly researching, and there are people that are always constantly trying to just get to the bottom of things and figure out life and figure out themselves and do a lot of introspection. And everything she was saying was just so on point. Like, it was so on point. And it resonated because I'm not a black sheep in my family. My family is small. I mean, my immediate family is literally just me and my mom. Like, my dad is around, but him and my mom are not together. My mom keeps in contact with him. He's older, he's sick, so like she keeps tabs on him, but like it's really just her and I, and that's it. And we're very, very close, so it's not like I don't like I can't be outcasted by someone that is relying on me just as much as I'm relying on her. Um, uh, so that dynamic doesn't exist with me, but it's the black sheep dynamic of just people disliking someone because they tell the truth and because they're not fake. That I have experienced that aspect within friendships. I've experienced it within relationships. I've experienced it um, in work settings. I've experienced it all. That I've seen people do it to other people, and I've seen it happen to myself. And it can manifest in a multitude of ways. And one example that I provided previously was just that, like, it's like when you have a friend, like say you have a girlfriend that makes a lot of mistakes within relationships, right? Or they get used by men a lot, and they are repeating patterns over and over again with guys. Like, say they are quick to sleep with a guy and get used sexually by a guy, and then all of a sudden the guy ghosts them, or he does them dirty, or he talks crazy to them, and they keep repeating this pattern over and over again, and you bring it to their attention and you say, hey, like, I think that the pattern that you're doing is toxic, and I think that you would have a lot better results if you weren't so quick to sleep with them, if you guarded your heart more, if you worked on yourself more, if you went to therapy, saying all of that and being the one in their life to say that can make you the bad guy a lot of the times, especially if no one else in their life has been telling them that, or if the only other person that's been telling them that is also somebody that they either shy away from or have static with, like they have static with this other individual in their family, and you're mirroring that behavior as a friend by being just as open and honest about that, right? And so I think that when you're that person, you just have to be careful about how you're like when you're that person who like can't be fake, who tells it like it is. And I'm not saying it in an aggressive way, because when I tell my truth, because there's my truth, there's your truth, and then there is the truth, right? My truth, when I tell it, or when I give advice, or when I do whatever, I'm not saying it it may come off rude, but I'm not conveying it in a way that's meant to be malicious or hurtful or harmful. And I never convey it in a way that is too, like, I never don't sandwich it with also telling you what is so great about you or what is so amazing about you. But you know how people are. People will latch onto the negative. They won't even hear the positive, what you said. Like, I could be telling you, you're so beautiful. You have so much to offer. You're so intelligent. You're so this, you're so that. Why are you lowering yourself to be dealing with these kinds of guys that are only using you for sex, or only wanting you for this or that, or they're giving you the attention, but that's it. And you're so, you could do so much more. I know that you want this. I know that you want that out of life. I'm sandwiching it. I'm sandwiching the cold hard truth with other positive truths, right? That's meant to like elevate you and make you feel better. But you're not hearing that. You're not hearing the positives. You're latching on to the fact that like I'm criticizing some part of you, or I'm being critical of you in general, and you harp on that instead. And that's the problem when you're dealing with people like that who haven't fully met themselves. And that's another thing. Like, I feel like a part of my struggle sometimes with people is due to the fact that they have not fully met themselves, right? They have not experienced full self actualization. I'm still going through the motions of that, right? I'm still figuring it out, right? But there are certain things that I do just genuinely know about myself and relationships and people and life. There's just certain things that I just know. And I always know when I'm not being true to whatever that is, things don't go right, right? Like, things do not go right when I'm not being true to myself, right? When I'm not honoring myself, right? When I'm out of alignment, things do not go right, right? But if it's one thing that I have learned is I can't force people to be there. I can't force people to come so far, right? That takes them doing the inner work, right? I can help them along the way to open their eyes, but I cannot physically bring them to where I am, right? I can't make them see what I see. I can't do that, right? And it's actually not even my job to do that, right? It's not even my purpose to do that, right? And but I think it's like when you're grappling with this whole thing of like, that you fit into that truth teller, truth seeker box, it is more difficult to navigate life and genuinely converse with people, because you will see things for what it is and the other person doesn't, and you can't convey it to everybody. I mean, some people can receive it, but there's a lot of people that can't, especially those that are like really, really deep in their ego. Oh my God, it's so deep, y'all. But basically, I was getting into an example from the trip. So we're gonna go back to the trip real quick. So there was this guy on the trip. He was my friend's friend. He's not my friend. I've been around him a bunch of times, but I would not consider him a friend. And background on this guy really quick. He makes a lot of money. He has a very good job. Um, he is the kind of guy that I would describe as leading with his money. He leads with his money. He leads with his accomplishments, which, in all fairness, a lot of men do that. But one thing about men, when you do that, you have to be mindful that if you're going to lead with your pockets and your accomplishments, there are going to be people that are going to pick up on that, and they're going to tap into that, and they're going to fill that void of where you're lacking. They're going to sense that void that you have. And anybody that's like effective, like a woman, or anybody that is about that life of like chasing the bag and getting to the bag, they're gonna sense that void that you have within you, whatever it is. They're gonna figure out whatever your insecurity is or whatever their deficiency lies within you, and they're going to capitalize on that, right? In order to get what they want out of that. So with this particular guy, he he has had girls in the past that have used him, right? Actually, everyone that he genuinely fell for, was really into, used him to a certain extent, right? And instead of him like recognizing that pattern of like why that happens and why that keeps occurring, he continues to go after the same type of woman, and he likes a particular aesthetic of woman that is like a boss chick, that's very confident and that's very self-aware, and it's very like high, like when you think of a high value woman, checking off all the boxes of that, right? That's what he goes for. That's what he likes. That's what he's attracted to, right? Now, sidebar, he did have a particular young lady who was really in love with him for him, who really liked him for him, who didn't care all about the money and this and that. Like, she genuinely liked him, right? But because she didn't fit a particular aesthetic that he liked or he normally goes for, and she wasn't a boss chick, she wasn't as ambitious as what he felt he needed, he just used her for sex, right? And then he disregarded her when he decided to start seriously dating again, right? That was his mistake. Not going for the one that was young enough to still have a lot of potential to have ambition later, but also genuinely wasn't just after him for his money, right? So he goes with this other girl who fits his aesthetic that he likes, whatever. Totally balls out on this girl, cashes out and introduces her to his family. I guess he thought, I don't know, he thought he was going to marry this girl. I don't know what he thought. And he was kind of venting about her, talking about the situation on the trip. And one thing I noticed is that he was somebody that the people that are around him, and I actually told my friend this, I said, you need to tell him that he keeps repeating the same patterns. And the girl that he tried to have a hissy fit with her. They went on a very expensive trip together that he paid for. He tried to, because he hasn't worked on his personality, he hasn't worked on his own self-concept, he tried to have a hissy fit and he ended up being very immature and very egotistical with her on the trip. Not realizing that when you're dealing with somebody that is a boss chick, that doesn't need your money, that can take you or leave you, that is very beautiful, she doesn't have to tolerate your bad attitude. She just doesn't, right? And this is the drawback of dealing with somebody like that. Because when you're dealing with somebody like that that doesn't genuinely need you but will take your money, this is what's going to happen when you act up, right? So he spent all this money, $15,000 on her on this trip. They get back to the city and she breaks